Thanks to the word buffer, I know this is a buffer problem, which means my first step is finding my weak acid and my weak base. They might be blatantly in the question, or they might be hiding in a salt. In this case, I have one of each. H-bro starts with an H. This is my weak acid. I don't need to dissociate it to go looking for anything because I have a weak acid. Now I'm just looking for its conjugate weak base. This is not a weak base, it is a salt. So I'm going to dissociate it. It's a salt, so I use a single arrow. The simplest thing that can fall off will fall off. Also, I know I'm looking for the conjugate to H-bro, the conjugate weak base. So something with one less H, that has one less H. That's my weak base. Weak acid, weak base. From here, it's up to you if you want to do a weak acid problem using H-bro or a weak base problem using bro. I would expect most of you would want to do a weak acid problem. So I'm going to take my H-bro as a weak acid, dissociate it, means equilibrium arrows. H plus falls off, leaving with BRO minus, and I do my ice chart. Well, the hydrogen is still 0 plus X is X. This is no longer 0 because we have a buffer. Instead of this being 0, its molarity is going to come from the question. The molarity that I have is of the salt. But you can see coefficients, there's a 1-to-1 ratio. So because this is a 1-to-1 ratio, 0.017 is also my molarity of BRO minus, and that can go here. When I add X to it, X is still so tiny that we say we end up with 0.017. For the weak acid, they just gave me its molarity. There are no ratios I have to worry about. I already know the initial molarity is 0.0125 minus X we say is still 0.0125. Since I used a weak acid to do a weak acid problem, I'm now going to do a Ka, which is products over reactants. Products are no longer X squared, it's X times 0.017. Reactants are 0.0125. The Ka needs to be the Ka value of whatever weak acid I dissociated. Going on to my chart, H-bro, fourth one from the top, has a value of 2.6 times 10 to the negative 9th, and I can then solve this for X. If solving this for X is difficult for you, put this over 1 and cross multiply. Ultimately, what you type in your calculator after you do the cross multiplying, solving for X, 2.6 times 10 to the negative 9th times 0.0125, then we'll divide by 0.017, and end up with an X value of 1.9 times 10 to the negative 9th. According to my ice chart, X represents my H plus molarity. If I had done a weak base problem using BRO minus, the X would have been OH. But since I have H plus, pretty simple to get to pH, I just take the negative log of that H plus value, and I get 8.72. Some of you might find it weird that we just did a weak acid problem but got a pH above 7. That would be weird if we were doing anything other than a buffer. But because we're doing a buffer, we have some acid and some base to start. We have no way of reasonably predicting if it's going to be acidic or basic by the time we're done. So don't overthink that.